Hello, my name is Daniel Spies, and you're listening to the Evolve Podcast. Evolve is a podcast aimed to help you evolve into the person you desire to become. By diving deep, we can extract practical insights, dispel bad information, and move forward with tangible actions to better our lives. Okay, so welcome back to Evolve. This is your host, Daniel Spies, and today we're here with Mr. Ed Witty. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Pretty good. I see you didn't, come into the room and smoke, as one of your magic tricks.
No, not yet.
Is that something you typically do when you're on the job and you're doing depositions for engineering?
Well, it's always good to have a good entrance. It's always good to make a good impression. Mm-hmm. And who better? Who do you think is better at making a good entrance and a good impression? An engineer or a magician?
Definitely a magician.
Okay, so I'm a magician.
So how do you spin the magician aspect of you that you really love and you bring it into your work?
Well, here's the thing that I learned about magic, which I didn't realize when I was young and used to do it as a kid. But as an adult and being able to procure almost any magic trick I want, you realize that a lot of the magic is very simple. It's way easier than most people would imagine. But the fact is, if the magician's a good performer, he can make magic with a piece of paper. It doesn't take much. Can you entertain your audience? Can you give them a moment of excitement or some kind of mystery or something to grab their attention? And can you deliver some kind of a pleasant outcome? So looking at life as a magician really is very helpful.
Can you give me an example of how taking on this image of a magician has helped you in your field of work? Is there an example that you give me where you performed and it turned out well?
Well, I mean, maybe we don't know, but as we should be obvious, if you think about it, if somebody's in a good mood and they're presented something pleasant, they're probably going to let it come in. So if you entertain somebody, if you endeavor to entertain somebody, if you endeavor to enchant them or mystify them or give them a pleasant experience, when people are having fun, everything goes better. So, yeah, there have been numerous examples where I've used magic, particularly if the crowd is difficult. Now, what magician wants a difficult crowd? So let's turn that around. If you have a difficult crowd, maybe show them a magic trick. Maybe show them something that interests them, something non-confrontational, something they have to figure out. And if you're really clever, maybe something that they can figure out. All of a sudden, you made a friend.
Do you think that part of providing that magician vibe to maybe clients and people you run into, do you think it kind of clears away this monotonous daily workflow that you find, your business in?
Well, interesting about monotonous. Some people like monotonous, but the fact is a lot of people's lives just go on and on about the same every day. So if you walk in as an engineer and they don't expect to see magic, maybe it just makes their day. Something unexpected, something pleasant. And sometimes I leave them with the magic trick, let them have some fun. But, it's injecting a little bit of fun, a little bit of interest, a little bit of something magical. It never hurts.
Okay, cool. So I'm trying to put together how, bringing the magic in works in all aspects of what you do. So obviously when you meet somebody, it's really great to establish that rapport with them in a very intriguing way. And I would say that being a magician is definitely one way to do it.
Well, especially a magician I don't expect is a magician.
Right.
I could take out a pad of paper and start a magic trick and they don't even know it's a magic trick until we're halfway into it. And all of a sudden they realize they're being entertained and they're having a good time. And it makes life a little bit easier when you have a good time because, people seem so serious and so intent and focused maybe on getting through it, getting to the end, getting the result. Like, what happened to enjoying it along the way?
Right. So you're not only providing the end result of the work that you do, but you're also making a really good experience.
Well, yeah, it would be nice to create a good experience for somebody.
Do you think that's uncommon for other engineers in your field?
I think it's uncommon for most people.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to a restaurant, they think that you expect to be brought food. That's correct, but you could expect to be brought food in a deli, in a supermarket, or in your home. You expect to be given an experience. Or maybe you don't expect it. Maybe you're not thinking about it. But if you give somebody an experience, it's a lot more than just giving them food. Otherwise, what's different from your hamburger joint over somebody else's is really not that much different.
It sounds to me that underneath the image that you're providing everybody, that there's a lot of technicalities that make up such a good quality experience. Sounds like there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
Well, it's amazing to me that people get to a meeting, or even if it's a lunch meeting where maybe it's a little bit unclear what you want to accomplish, and people don't have in mind what they want to accomplish. You know, if you're going to bother to take my time, I should know why. You should know why. At least you should make good use of it, and so should I. If this interview weren't somehow good for me, why would I do it?
Yeah, that's totally true. And it's good for everybody listening in, because I think it's really important to see things from different perspectives, especially somebody like yourself who approaches business in a totally, I guess you could say, non-secular way. You know, would you say that the kind of approach you have is unconventional?
It's definitely unconventional, absolutely. Most laws, rules of business, I have my own angle to turn on its side. And it's different. I mean, I'm not the only one doing it.
Okay. So let's go back for a second, because this is all really interesting, and I want to continue this. But why don't we give the listeners, a little history about who Ed Witty was, what made Ed Witty the magician he is today?
If you just don't want magic, I started doing magic when I was a little kid, maybe 6, 7 years old. Got one of these magic kits, and occasionally would save up for the better magic tricks. I actually ran a magic show when I was in 6th grade with a friend of mine. We charged the kids entrance fees, pop popcorn, and just a whole big little endeavor we had there.
So you were a businessman even at a younger age.
You could say that.
You had the gene early on.
I did go to college. I did do things the standard way, the right way, a way. And you realize that's why everybody's doing it. Okay. Like, what's so special about that?
Can you tell me a little bit more about that kind of way, the pre-magician era, when you were just starting as an engineer? Can you tell me a bit about, what you liked and disliked?
I mean, the thing is, when I first started as an engineer, it's regimented as you expect, do this calculation, figure this thing out, turn this in, review this document. I mean, it wasn't that exciting. Mm-hmm. It was okay. It was something. But, doing your very best at routine, corporate type work is okay, but it's wasted energy. Why? Because most corporations really don't need your best. They don't even want your best. They just want your okayness. They just want something to get them on to the next step, somebody to push some paper to and have them do something so they don't have to do it themselves.
That's interesting. They just want, they don't need your best. It's kind of like, how would you describe it? How would you describe that environment emotionally?
I mean, it's, for some people it's great. It's not very taxing, but some people they just don't want to think about much. It's okay. I don't know, maybe it's hard for them. I really don't know.
Is there a moment when you were working in that environment where you had like the epiphany to change things up and to leave and to go your own way?
No, that happened much later. Much, much later. Just going through a series of experiences. I mean, I would seek out positions where I'd learn things. and then just see how much I could learn. I knew that my employer would never really appreciate everything I learned and everything I could do. But you know what? They were eager to have me do whatever it is I wanted to do. So I did learn on their dime. But, I mean, they got a lot out of it until they didn't anymore.
Right. So then you started, did you start Witty and Rhyme at that point, or was it something else?
No, the first company I started was Axiom Engineering in Coral Springs, Florida. It was a good company. I had a great run with it. I mean, I took what I knew and it just took off. But that was, I would say, my first stage of business. What is your first stage of business? You think everybody's going to be your customer? Most everybody. You think you want a ton of work as much as you could get. And you do a solid job for a good price, maybe a little more than everybody else. But, you're kind of a commodity in a way. Okay, what we provided I thought was unique in its quality and exceptional service. But, that's a low-tier way of doing business. Great service, great quality. There's only so much people are going to pay anyway. And it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Most businesses are run like this. They're actually run like either this high quality, high tier, or volume, like Walmart. So you got Neiman Marcus and you got Walmart.
I have a feeling that you didn't want to run a Walmart shop.
No, because why? Who wants to do a ton of work? I want a ton of money, but at first that was the only way to do it.
Yeah, there's something really interesting that I wanted to touch on, and it's something that we talked about in a prior conversation, where there's other engineers in your line of work and other professionals that meet with hundreds of clients a year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because of how things are billed. But you actually don't see too many clients per year. You actually, based off of providing extreme quality of service, you only see a handful of clients a year. Can you explain how that is?
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of what it is you want to set out to accomplish. If you want to be the best, then you're not going to charge, $50 an hour like everybody else, wherever the going rate is. If you're going to be the best, you're not going to be accepting projects that don't meet your requirements. If you're going to be the best, you're not going to work for clients, except clients that are also the best. If they don't want outstanding performance and quality, then they don't want to hire me, and I'm okay with that. Because in being the best, you can only do so much. And not everybody wants the best. Most people seem to want, I don't want to say the cheapest, but the best doesn't fit their bill. For example, if you don't really like steak that much, who wants to go to the best steakhouse? Like maybe sushi's your thing, go to the best sushi house. Or if you can't taste the difference between fresh sushi and day-old sushi, just go to the grocery store and buy it. There's nothing wrong with it, but know what it is you want. If you want to come out on top, if you have a winning case and you actually want to win, then hire me. If not, it's okay. There's people that want second best or want cheapest, or they don't really care if they accomplish anything. There's people you can hire for all of those whims, all those ideas, ways of looking at life. My way is maybe limited, but the people that want me, nobody else will do.
So this is actually a really good topic for the listeners, because a lot of them out there are probably, obviously in the earlier stages of where you were, where they're really looking to go from that lower tier to that higher tier, right? And maybe some people think that they're not, capable of providing the best, or maybe it's just unrecognized. Do you have any pointers or tips for any of the listeners from where you were to where you are now, that journey?
If you're not interested in doing the best, then why are you doing it? I mean, you can set up a store and sell run-of-the-mill. You can sell ice. There's nothing wrong with ice. It's hard to differentiate between good and bad ice, but there is such a thing as good ice. There's preference on the shape of the cube, the degree to which it's frozen, if it's clear, if it's cloudy. And there are some people that will appreciate very fine ice. But in the end, how much will they pay for it? And how many people are there? I don't know. But if you want to do something mediocre, do it. There's plenty of people that want to hire mediocre people. You can make a mediocre living probably pretty easily and have a mediocre life. If that's good for you, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't criticize it. Some people, they just want to be average Joe. But if you want to be the best, then either put out or move on. Find what you're the best at. Set out to be the best. Ask yourself, why aren't you the best? And would you hire you if you were, if you need a mechanic would you hire you? Or do you know you're not really doing your best? Like, it's okay. There are people that are not cut out to be the quote unquote best. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make somebody better or worse. But just look at yourself. If you're not capable of being the best, if you can't look in the mirror and say, this is the best that God made me and I'm the best at me, if you can't know that you're going to provide quality, that you're just not going to stop until the job's done, then it's okay. But, like, maybe I don't hate to chase people away from your show, but, like, what are you listening for?
Right. No, it's a hard truth, though, when you think about it. It's because you have to really self-reflect and ask yourself where you're really going on your journey, what your goals are. A lot of people really don't think about, the audience and their customer base and, who they're actually looking to serve. Right. So it's a hard truth, but all very real, just the same. Life's unforgiving in a way, in that way,
It's a good point that people don't visualize or envision who is their client. Like, they may see an ice cream shop and there's just hundreds of people there and they just all shapes and sizes. Like, no, not really. I bet you there's specific people that you can cater to that like ice cream more than others. Mm-hmm. It might be a certain age bracket. It might be people with kids. It might be people my age. I don't know. But there are things you can do. If you're catering to everybody, you're catering to nobody. And if you're not catering, if you're not trying to meet somebody's needs, then what are you doing in business?
Right.
So if you don't know your customer, I think that's the number one. You always say the number one. I don't know. It's an important factor in business failing because they don't understand who it is they're serving. They don't understand what the price structure can be or what extras people would want. With an ice cream, you could serve a scotch or you could serve some whipped cream or you could serve some soda. Like, decide who your audience is, right? Know which guy has the most money. Or do you just want a lot of people that have a little bit of money? There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not my style.
Mm-hmm. So can you briefly go into that, if you don't mind? Because there's probably a lot of engineers that do a range of what you've done in the past. Who are your main clients, or who do you typically work with?
I typically work with people that want to win. Okay. I typically work with people that want to prove their point, that have a valid point, whether it's an insurance company, whether it's a building owner, whether it's some kind of business that has a claim of some sort. Analyze their position, and that's possible they don't have a position. It's possible. But what are the rules? What are the rules about this particular situation, and what needs to be proven? Is it true? Like, first and foremost, is it true? There's so many things that we can say it's black and white. It's not. You're wearing a white shirt. Would you agree you're wearing a white shirt?
Yeah, I would say I agree.
No, it's not white. It's actually light gray.
Oh.
If you look at it carefully, it's light gray. Would you say so?
Well, I feel like I'm not the best with colors, but
okay.
I'll agree.
Okay, but no, you're wrong. It's actually a little bit beige. I think it's a beige. And if you step outside, it might be a different color. Now, objectively, what color is your shirt? It really depends on who's looking.
Right.
It depends on a lot of things. Some colors that I call orange, other people call yellow or red. Like, nothing is that like a Crayola box of 8 colors. We could all agree on the red crayon, but go look at flowers and try to get any concurrence on the color. What does this have to do with anything?
I think it kind of bridges what we were just talking about with how important perception is, right? Perception is everything, and it goes hand in hand with image and being a magician and what you do.
So who controls the perception?
The magician.
The magician.
Always. Or that's what I would think. That's who I think.
So that would be me.
That would be you.
So if I could control somebody's perception, if I could guide their perception, does it really, anything else really matter?
Well, I wouldn't think so. I mean, I guess that must be true, figuring you are where you are now in life and you're here in this room with me.
Okay.
So there must have been a subset of truths that got you to where you are. And if that's an underlying, then it has to be true.
So if the point is that the magician creates perception, the magician directs, the magician can, in a very sometimes obvious way, but it's never really powerful, it's never forced. You could look at whatever you want, you do whatever you want. But the magician helps you see things in a way, maybe that's biased towards his ends, maybe it's even biased towards your end as well. Because if he could convince you, then maybe have a moment of amazement, a moment of pleasure, a moment of joy, when you realize, oh, something about the mind, when you see one thing and all of a sudden it flips and you realize it's something else. Kind of like when you look at an optical illusion and boom, it flips, you can't, and then you see it. You see the other, and it's like, it's some pleasure that you get. If you can give people pleasure while you're working, if you can give people pleasure even while they're having a disagreement, maybe they see that everything is not so serious. Maybe they see that joy is the purpose of life. Maybe they have a moment of happiness. It could be their happiest moment that day, that week, that month, that year. You don't know. Not too many people are actively engaged in trying to achieve happiness.
That's actually a really interesting idea because it's not really thought about, day to day. And then when you have somebody that comes along like yourself and you provide the happiness, the magic, the intrigue, the mysticism, would you say that all kind of comes together in a nice little package?
I mean, most people will, first of all, yes. I'll answer it simple, yes. I mean, most people will believe in some type of the concept of karma, whether strictly like, the Eastern beliefs, I'm not saying, but the fact that good begets good, that something positive will get positive. You talk about the law of attraction, do unto others. There's a million ways of looking at it, but the fact is, there is a general belief that if you do good, that if you instill positivity, if you instill happiness, somehow it's going to come back to you. It's going to amplify, it might even intensify. But the fact is, nobody's saying be nice and you're going to get, shafted. Even when that happens, somehow we know that in the end, the nice guy wins. He wins something. Maybe he doesn't win the trivialities, but he wins what's important. If you could make somebody experience happiness, joy, you can't make them, but if you help them, facilitate, if you hold them a mirror and teach them to laugh, it just really changes the whole dynamic of maybe instead of two people coming here to argue about an insurance claim, we're two people trying to make the most of life, and we have a job to do. We have to settle this claim. We have to do something that's reasonable. And maybe everybody won't be happy, but let's do our best. I mean, that's just the way I look at it.
It's kind of nice, though. It's kind of nice to see it that way, though, because it adds something that's clearly missing, right, in most people's lives. And it sounds to me that that's somewhat of a purpose of yours within what you do. Not only it almost sounds like it's not just in engineering, but in every part of your life you're trying to provide that. Is that more or less the case?
Well, I would say it is an emphasis for me. And, engineering's what I do. It's the boat that I drive around. It's how I get from one place to the next. It's how I end up in people's homes and in businesses and talking to people. But we have to realize that, like, why do I have to run around and travel around and make money? Why can't I stay in one place? I don't know. I guess it's good to interact with other people. If you're going to interact with somebody, it may as well be something pleasant. You may as well try to get something good out of it. Try to make something good out of it. Even if it's an argumentative situation, maybe you don't have to argue the whole time. And sometimes you step back and you realize, hey, we're all just trying to make the most of it. And you really don't have to lose for me to win. Sometimes we can both win. I think there's always a way if you look hard enough for both sides to win, but obviously everybody has to be reasonable. And how more be reasonable? And if you're having a good time and you think this person might be friendly, if not your friend, at least maybe they're okay. Maybe he's an okay guy. Maybe we can have some common ground. Maybe we can do something good together. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like a very important philosophy that you have. And I think this kind of goes hand in hand with always expecting the best. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Would be really interested to hear what that really means.
Always expect the best. If you see my card, as my tagline, so to speak. Always expecting the best really is, you have to try it. You don't have to do anything. But I can tell you what it is. But much like chocolate ice cream, if you don't taste it, like you can only kind of think about what it might be like. But the fact is, in everything, I guess let me break it down real easy. People say that if you expect good, that it's a point of view. It's just a way of looking at something. It's a way of fooling yourself. It's actually not. It's not. In almost anything, there's good and bad. In a knife, there's good. It could be used to cut meat. It could be used to, do something positive. It could be used to hurt somebody. Like there's good and bad. How are you going to use the knife? How are you going to use what you have? How are you going to administer your part of the world? I kind of forgot where we were.
You were. I was expecting the best of this definition.
So to always expect the best, you might think it's just positive thinking, but it's been shown there's power of positive thinking. I will tell you what. At first, if you always expect the best, and I'll give you an example of how to do it, you will see that there actually is a power to positive thinking, even if that's all there is. Mm-hmm. That there's some power in positive thinking, but it's more than that. It's actually attracting the best. The law of attraction has been discussed, I'm sure, in many places. But the fact is that like attracts like, that good attracts good. I mean, you go to a party, who's with each other? You usually like people, right? So if you don't like the group you're in, maybe look at yourself. Maybe you just need to change yourself. Who said you have to be in that group? I'm not trying to be caste system, but I mean, these are normal experiences.
Right.
Examples that people could relate to.
Yeah, and a lot of people out there listening might say, they believe in the universe, right? And so, what would you say to people out there that are kind of skeptical to always expecting the best? Somebody who's maybe going through something and it seems like a shadowy figure in the distance.
Well, you have to start small because you always expect the best, and God forbid you're facing something very difficult. It's too much. It's too much at that point. Expect the best, start small. I want to maybe explain something that underlies this idea of that the universe is skewed in the direction of the best. And this has been misinterpreted to the strongest, the fittest, and giving people the right that if they're better, they think they're better, well, they could just beat up on weaker people. That's not the best. That's just being a bully. Mm. But what do we mean by the best? Let's go with scientists. They tell us that the universe is 20 million years old, that there was a big explosion, a big bang, and everything coalesced, and then life started on Earth. I'm skipping over these big parts. And that life got more complex with time, and that creatures came out of the ocean and evolved and changed and grew and developed. And how does this all happen? Like randomly, they say. But this is what I would tell you. If the universe were random, an equal number of good things, meaning evolutionarily positive things, would be offset by an equal number of negative things. But we don't see that happen. If evolution is true, I'm not saying it is. Let's say it is. Clearly, it depends on a bias that there were much more positive mutations, which, by the way, we don't see. But there must have been much more positive mutations than negative. Otherwise, we would have never progressed, right?
Right.
The universe clearly is biased towards positive, unless we're going to self-hate as humans and say we're awful creatures. I think we're amazing creatures. And by the way, they're a result of divine creation, but we're just playing along with the environment, with the evolutionists. And those people are saying that there is a positive bias to the universe. Mm-hmm. They're not saying it, but they're proving it. Like, I just call that positive bias God. That's just my way of looking at things. But if you start looking around, you will see that it's not just that if you expect the best, you will get the best. You will get what you expect. If you expect to fail, you will fail. This is known. Mm-hmm. The little engine that good, if you expect to succeed, you probably will. If you keep it long enough, you will certainly succeed. But how's that possible? If you're doing it wrong, how come all of a sudden you're doing it right and you succeed? It must be the universe is biased towards positivity, towards the best.
Maybe if more people realized the positive bias, then they would realize always expecting the best sooner.
If people just kept track of things carefully, made careful observations, they would see that most days, most things probably go their way for almost all people. Now, some people are suffering. I'm not talking about every single person. I can't, I'm not here to rationalize and justify everybody's life, but heck, if you have the luxury of listening on an electronic device to this podcast, like, you're probably better off than most people in this world. You probably have a lot of things going for you. You probably have some form of communications device. You have some money. You ate a meal today. You probably have, I don't know. Yeah. Like, you may tell me all the things you don't have. How do you want to look at your life? Are you a winner or are you a loser? I mean, half empty, half full. It's been said over and over and over again.
It's really just about how you look at life, and then you literally go down that direction, whatever side it is, it sounds like. You can focus on the bad or you can focus on the good. Just the same.
People that succeed start out happy. It's not that they achieve success, then they're happy. No, they're happy now. People that lose weight start out happy. In other words, be happy with yourself this minute. If you think you're fat, it's going to be very hard to convince yourself to eat well if you think you're fat and overweight and what's one more meal. But if you think of yourself as beautiful and perfect and sexy and having a great body and look in the mirror and smile, like, maybe you'll treat that person with the respect and care he or she deserves, and all of a sudden you don't need that second hamburger or whatever. It's just a matter of the change happens in an instant in your mind. If you truly expect the best, you'll see that you'll get the best.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So, in what way is this true? Because people say, excellence happened and blah, blah, and it sucked. And, like, deep down, what were you expecting? Like, if somebody will come clean, like, yeah, it fucked up, blah, blah. Can we say that on the air?
Yeah, it's totally okay.
And then, like, I knew it. It was all, oh, you knew it? You knew you were going to lose. Well, yeah, it was obvious. Okay, then what are you surprised at? What are you even upset about? You got what you expected. Mm-hmm. I knew that meeting was going to suck. Okay, great. What do you want, a brownie point? You got your way. Aren't you happy? If you think about how many times you do get what you want, granted, there may be sometimes you seemingly don't get what you want. But maybe you have to just wait, as Paul Harvey said, for the rest of the story. Maybe the rest of the story hasn't happened yet. It sucks now having to, be in college or be stuck at home or whatever it is you think. It sucks. But maybe later you realize it's good. I mean, it sucked when I was in the Navy, but man, it's made the rest of my life so amazing.
Right.
just the things I learned, things I could do. The experience was invaluable. So sometimes we're just so quick to judge.
That's true. It literally can go in any direction you want. And even if it's seemingly negative, it's just a matter of time before, if you take advantage of expecting the best, it's only a matter of time, it sounds like, before you can change it for the way that you want it to become, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's such an interesting idea. It's that people, whether they look towards the bad or the good, both are going to happen as equally the same. It's just a matter of how you see it.
I thought I'd give you one practical thing, because a lot of times people talk philosophy, they talk ideas like law of attraction, but they don't give you any concrete thing that you can actually do and see results. I'm going to give you at least one thing that you can actually do and see results.
Awesome.
Okay, so what I challenge would anybody is make a diligent effort to not say anything bad about yourself. Don't make any self-disparaging comments. Don't say anything negative about yourself. Don't say, I'm not really a good runner. Don't say, I'm not that good at that. It's going to take you probably weeks just to get in the habit of not saying disparaging comments about yourself. Nothing. I mean, if you weigh 250, you can say you weigh 250. And if that's overweight, you don't have to say it. Don't say disparaging comments. And just see how they change your life. If that doesn't change your life in a month, you have to actually do it.
Right.
You have to catch yourself doing it. You have to make an absolute effort. And just start thinking of yourself only in a positive way. Your life will change.
Right.
Your body may even change. You may even look different.
You have to hold yourself accountable.
It's giving yourself a break. Like anything that you'd be about to say, and it may surprise you until you start listening to yourself, how many negative things you probably say about yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, we have there's some crazy number that we have thousands of thoughts a day, and how many of them are negative?
I mean, who knows what, I should do this, I got to stop doing that, if only I could. All these thoughts, all these things that you actually say to yourself, as Bob Newhart, you say, stop it. But if you could take that on yourself and see your life change, you will realize that it's not just the power of positive thinking. It's the actual change that you effect by choosing to view something in a positive manner. There's advanced. After you get, much later, when you're good at that, not say something bad about your spouse, your family. I mean, I'm talking about people that you love, and you say, you don't realize what you may say. And then go to somebody that you don't like. All of a sudden, don't view that car salesman in a bad light. He's a car salesman, okay? That's his lot in life. Don't hold it against him. Yes, he's going to try to sell you a car. And he's going to try his hardest, but that's his job. It's okay. He's not taking advantage of you. You start cutting people a break. Everybody's just trying to get by. Everybody's trying to get their meaning out of life. And people are all on different levels, so some people, you just smile at them once and they're happy.
Right. It's almost kind of like everybody's at their own level, right? And you're just participating with people in the way that they can do their best with, right? Because that's all they can really do in a sense then.
Well, here's what's an amazing realization to me. Maybe to some other people, maybe they already knew this. But no two people think alike. They don't.
Right.
So we think that, if that person just would listen to me for 5 seconds, they would get it. The answer is maybe not. Maybe they just don't see life that way. Not because they're stupid, but because the culmination of their life experiences, their particular fears, their anxieties, their mental ability, their trust, their faith, their outlook, they can see something you see and interpret totally different. People don't realize that other people do think drastically different from them. Drastically.
Yeah, it's kind of like the sun complex. We always think that we're navigating the life and everybody thinks exactly like us. So how can people misunderstand who we are? And,
I mean, that's because if we're trying to view somebody else from our own context, like they should be like me, they should think like me, they should react like me. What do you mean you don't like hot dogs with relish on it? That's what I like. How could you not like that? If you were smart, if you were insightful, if you understood relish, if you just were better at eating a hot dog. Like, this doesn't make any sense. But that's what we tell people.
Right.
Like, what's wrong with them liking something a different way? What's wrong with them liking a different team or a different candidate? Like, what difference does it make? That's the way they see it. Why do people get castigated because they like one candidate over another? The U.S. is supposed to be private ballot, and all people want to do is call you on the carpet for who you're voting for. It's supposed to be private.
Right.
They forget about that. Okay, but then why does it make me stupid if I don't agree with you? If you had my experience and background, you would think exactly like I do. Maybe not exactly, but maybe you would have the same point of view. But you don't. Like, cut me a break. Just because I don't see it like you.
Right.
And you don't see it like me. It's okay.
Do you think this helps when you work with people on the job? Do you think that providing this, I'm not going to say safe space because it almost sounds like a safe space in a way, but in a sense, you're just accepting people for who they are and what they're doing in that time, right? Do you think that helps a lot for people like relax when it comes to working with them?
I don't know, but it's hard to get people to realize all I want from them is their best at what they do. I don't expect them to do somebody else's job.
Right.
But I don't know. I would just want to cut to the chase.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to segue the topic of always expecting the best because it's almost very close to mental health, right? And obviously, I wouldn't assume that you were just born Ed Witty to stardom in the engineering space. There must have been some kind of process you went through to get to always expect the best. Have you always had it easy? Have you always had it, straight through to the end?
Have I always had it easy? It's very interesting because people think I've always had it easy. Why? I don't know. Maybe I make it look easy. Do you really think it's more easy or hard for me to do something than it is for you? Yes or no?
No. Yeah.
Is it inherently easier for me to make money? Or for me to fix something? For me to do something? Or for me to get a good seat in a restaurant? Is it inherently easier for me? Like, it's kind of a weird question.
Yeah. It's a taboo. It's almost taboo.
What do you mean it's taboo?
Well, in the sense of, the fact that it may come off mysterious, right? Where like you're able to do all these things and, to everybody outside of you, it's like, how did Ed Witty go from A to Z?
I don't, but that's the whole point is like, I don't have anything that anybody else doesn't have. Mm-hmm. So, but sometimes things get discounted as if, oh, it's magic. Well, you are a magician. Okay. But why does that give somebody else an excuse? Like, I'm just not good at this. I'm just not.
Yeah, it's like on the surface. It's kind of like underneath what we see, there's a whole bunch of tribulations that you faced, probably, most likely. A lot of learning experiences.
Okay, I have everything I want. I can actually say I have everything I want. Mm-hmm. Like, how many people can say that? And I'm not super duper rich. I don't have like aircraft and like, I wouldn't say it's a modest life, but it's not a very extravagant life. Mm-hmm. I'm happy though. I'm very happy. So, that's what it's about. Right. That's ultimately what it's about. If you expect the best, if you always expect the best, you will see that you get what you expect. But if you always don't expect the best, or if you always don't care, you will see that if you always it comes right back at you. Like, I'm not even sure why anybody needs to be convinced.
Right.
If you just think about it, you see this all the time.
Right.
Somebody that is a star baseball player today, it's because they thought they were going to be a star when they were 3 years old. Or somebody did. Maybe even when they were 2.
They manifested it early on.
Right. You don't, like, people think, oh, he's just a great piano virtuoso. He sat down piano one day and could play anything. Like, that doesn't really happen. It takes some degree of learning and practice, and there are geniuses, there are savants, but even they have to have some kind of practice, some kind of training.
Was it easy for you to pick up on engineering and to develop the strategies that you push through?
Well, I only use engineering in a very limited sort of way. I mean, maybe a real engineer, like the kind that you see on TV, sits behind a computer all day and does calculations and measurements and figures that stuff out. And that's not quite what I do. First of all, I work with failed structures. I look at why things failed and what caused them to fail, and in what way that relates to an insurance policy, which is simply an agreement between two parties that if certain things happen, then certain other things will happen. If something breaks under certain conditions, then this company will pay you for it because you gave them some money and they took the gamble. So how close does reality look to that situation that it should warrant payment? It's kind of a different twist.
Yeah, it sounds more unique.
It's just something that a lot of people don't think about. I mean, isn't that a good place to go to? Go into a field that a lot of people don't think about, and then watch the magic happen.
Is that how you picked engineering?
Not really. I think I picked engineering just because it seemed right. It seemed like a good fit, and it was a decent fit. It's been a decent fit.
Yeah. Because it seems to me that, Ed Witty operates in two different ways. There's the very technical Ed, and there's the very esoteric, philosophical Ed that likes to implement his philosophies to the technical and the practical, right?
Okay.
Has it always been that way?
I guess I haven't been so forward about it, so open about it, until I started seeing the power. So, for example, if I work with a client and the client doesn't think they're going to win, we're done. I'm not interested. So, if you want to work with me, you have to believe. You have to espouse. You have to accept that you're going to win. And you have to act accordingly.
So,
act like a winner.
So you don't only demand the philosophy on your end, but you also demand it on the other side as well.
Well, I get people that start telling me, what if this doesn't work? What about plan B? There is no plan B. There's only a plan A, and it's a winning plan. The question to my clients are usually, are you cut out to win? Are you up to winning? Can you accept that you are a winner? Can you believe that you're entitled to win this case? And sometimes I don't believe in it, and I walk away. Because maybe there's something not right about it, or something I don't understand about it, or maybe it's just not for me. I don't really need a reason.
Do you think that a lot of people find that attractive because it sounds very principled in nature?
Some people find it very unattractive. It just depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for me, then hey, here I am. You're going to like what you see. If you're looking for a stooge or somebody that's just going to do, I don't know, maybe I'm not your person.
You were that person at your first startup. you were working with everybody at that point, but obviously they would have to go in the past to work with you.
Well, I mean, it just, you can't be an expert overnight. Maybe you can. I couldn't be. I mean, you have to pay your dues, it seems. And, but eventually you realize you've reached another place.
You think people should become selective from the get-go, or It should just be a part of their long-term plan to be selective with.
I can't answer what another person should be, but what I can say is whatever you envision, whatever you dream, whatever guides you, I mean, it's very important. If you don't really understand what I'm saying, then you're just floating around, bobbing around the ocean. Like, that's okay, but when you end up somewhere that you didn't know how you got there, there's your answer. You weren't steering. It's okay. It is okay.
It's okay to bob around.
If that's what you want to do, it's okay. I mean, successful is not make a lot of money. Successful is, are you living your life the way you want to live it? How close to the way you want to live it are you living your life? And if it's close, you're successful. If it's not close, it doesn't matter how much money or things you have or what you've done. If your life is not being lived the way you want it, if you're not happy, if you don't have joy, if you don't experience delight, then guess what? You're probably not successful. And that's okay. It's okay to be whoever you are.
That's really interesting. I feel like a lot of people need to hear that from somebody in their life. People not feeling that they're worth it enough, or that they're never enough, or, they don't have like a utility in life. You think people should subscribe less to what other people think of them?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's good to get feedback. If you don't pay attention to anybody, they might say you're crazy. I don't know. But what I would say is that what you do and your judgment of yourself shouldn't be based on what other people think you ought to be doing. What do you want to be doing, and are you doing it? And if not, why not? Or maybe the fact is you are doing what you want to do. You just have to admit that you want to sit in front of the TV for 8 hours a day. That's what joys your soul. That's what you want to do. And you're not going to, that's okay. Like, that's your thing. Maybe somebody needs to watch TV 8 hours a day. But embrace it. Be happy.
Yeah. You think a lot of people out there are just refusing to do what makes them happy? Like sitting in front of the TV for, 8 hours a day?
No, I think that they're refusing to acknowledge that they're the ones making the decision. They're the ones, first of all, deciding if they're going to be happy or not happy. They're the ones deciding if they're going to be successful or not. They're the ones deciding if they're going to be roadblocks to what they want, or if they're going to go after it. They're the ones deciding it. I mean, yeah, there's discrimination and everything, but people of all colors and creeds and sexes and sexual preferences are getting what they want out of life. So if you're not, why? I want to say what's wrong with you, but maybe that's just how you are. You just embrace it. Like, start with embracing yourself. This is who I am at this very moment, and I'm happy that it's me.
Is there a time in your life where you felt like you had to embrace yourself? That you were bobbing in the ocean?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's born. I don't think anybody's born brilliant. You have to have experiences to really understand life. And if you're blessed with challenging experiences, then I think you can gain a deeper understanding. Maybe get a bigger picture.
Okay.
If all you ever see is, I don't know, what you consider as easy, what do you really experience in life? So, I think at first you don't even realize you have an engine. You're just bobbing around. You have to get to the realization that you can change your own direction, that you can take control of your rudder, your sail, your boat, or whatever analogy you want to use. And people think, no, you're just lost in a sea of forces and you can't help it, it's not your fault. Like, that's bullshit.
Do you think part of that process is just it's finding your way, you're building your engine as you go?
If you're paying attention, if you're paying attention, like if you had a boat with all these complex dials and gauges and you start banging on them, you'll never figure it out. But if you sit and move one button and see what happens and wait a few minutes and then come back and move it again, see what happens, you'll eventually figure out how to get where you want to go, even if there's no instructions. But if you're just going to like flop around or resign yourself to sit on the fantail, it's okay. But what did you expect? Like, I don't understand where people think that somehow they're just bobbing in an ocean and that they're not capable of causing their own movement. That's where it starts.
It's this idea of self-realization before anything, you know. Sounds like you just gotta know who you are and what you want to do, and then, you know, formulate your own compass, I guess.
I'll give you a practical example. Here's another practical example. Something you can actually do. Go where it's maybe COVID is difficult, but if you go where it's somewhat busy, maybe a mall, maybe a shopping area, Walmart, I don't know. But a place that you can walk, even a sidewalk. And somebody's going to come at you, right? Somebody's going to be walking in your direction, and somebody's going to have to move out of the way. See, without anything verbal, what can you do? Are you going to stand your ground? Most people will move out of the way. Most people are very threatened very early on. If they don't see you standing down or moving, and they will move out of the way. Now, not that you do anything threatening. For sure, do not. Because you'll see, I mean, sometimes you have to step out of the way because they're just not paying attention, or there may be a confrontation. But by and large, most people will move out of the way easily without even a threatening look. Just if you stay point and you're focused ahead of you, they will move out of the way. It's just a simple way of controlling your space. And an example, try staring at somebody and seeing how long it takes to get them to look at you just from staring. You can get pretty good at it. How's that possible?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting idea, actually. The idea of standing your ground and having a strong foundation.
See if you could get somebody to do something without talking.
Right.
Like, see if you could, I don't know.
Get them to do a magic trick for you.
Maybe you get somebody to go get you a Coke without asking for it. I mean,
do you think controlling your space has been a big component of what you do as well?
controlling your space is more of an advanced topic, I think. First, you have to control yourself. In other words, not say anything negative about yourself. Be careful about what you articulate. But later on, you come to this concept of controlling your space.
Starts within and then creeps out into reality, I guess.
Reality is just this thing in front of us, but reality is really not one thing when you think about it. My reality and yours are quite different.
Yeah, so much that's different going on in so close of a proximity.
So, I mean, it's amazing that we even agree that certain aspects of reality we even have in common.
Right. That's true. Because two people can just see the world in the opposite way.
Right.
Yeah, they're both people and they both have arms and legs and eyes, but the perception is totally different.
Okay, but look at this reality. In a normal person's reality, we're both sitting in front of a microphone with our clothes on. What if my reality was that when I sit in front of a microphone, my clothes are off? Does it change anything?
No.
Does it change anything for the listeners? No. Does it change anything for you? I don't know. Does it matter?
Right. It matters if that's what your reality is.
I mean, we all have a very somewhat rigid definition of what we think reality is. We don't articulate it. We don't explain it. We see a lot of things that don't fit our reality. In the 1970s, you saw two guys making out. Like you must have seen something wrong. Like that couldn't be. Like it just didn't happen.
Right.
Okay, by and large, it didn't happen in public. Now, like you wouldn't even think twice about it.
Right.
You know, if I told you I saw something, you might immediately discount it as fantasy.
It's an interesting idea. There's like maybe like there's like a general reality that shifts over time for the humanity, right? And then there's the individual. There's the collective reality, and then there's the individual reality. Is that something that you're aware of?
I don't think there's a collective reality. There's just a general concurrence.
Okay.
About some elements of reality.
Okay.
But it's not well defined.
Right.
For example, are you allowed to have two wives?
In most places, no.
Why? I had one and then I had another one.
Oh, right.
I didn't have it at the same time.
Not at the same time, but in different time periods.
Could you have two wives at the same time? Depends where you live.
Yeah.
Depends on what time zone you're... Not what time zone. What time, yeah. Geological, like, if you're in biblical times, yeah, you can. If you're in partial world now, yeah, you can. I mean, there's a lot of things that we think are, can you kill another person? You immediately say no. Well, actually, you can. There's a whole lot of ways you can. That are perfectly permissible. I'm not suggesting it. What I'm saying is, what we think of as reality, like women aren't fighter pilots. Like, it's preposterous to think a woman could be a fighter pilot. Oh, wait a second, it's 2020. I'm thinking when it was 1920.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't even, somebody would conceive maybe of something, and all of a sudden everybody, it's normal. Like, how could you talk to somebody on the other side of the world instantly? See them. Like, 100 years ago, it's impossible. 100 years ago, they might have thought it was possible. But 1,000 years ago, it would be magic.
Yeah. So maybe you're just living 1,000 years in the future.
I don't know.
And you divide that decimal by 100, and that's why you're the top 1%. That is an interesting idea, though, because it kind of comes full circle. Maybe you really are living in 1,000 years, 100 years ahead of the times for the people you serve. You're providing magic to concepts seemingly so far away from their scope of understanding.
It's all how you look at it. It's not that. It actually is how you look at it. It actually is. That's the thing.
It's almost like you're saying people just don't think in terms of this.
Well, they're letting other people set up their reality. They're letting them tell you Trump or Biden. They're letting them tell you that there's only two choices. You're being told, no other party could ever win. You're being told that Trump is this and Biden is that. And different people are telling you different things. But you're being told that this is the debate. You were given what to debate. And you were given two choices. Like, isn't that very limiting?
Yeah.
Why don't people think that something else can happen?
Yeah, I mean, even in sales, they say the best way to sell somebody is to give them A or B options. Don't give them a third. Because that will just confuse people more.
Right.
You throw three in the mix, people don't know what to do. Okay.
So you can see from basic sales how easily people are controlled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You give them two choices. You know what? What if both choices you give them are good for you? Like, you can have this coconut water for $5 or this plain water for $10. Like, do I really care which you choose? I'm going to make a fortune. That's not a real choice.
Right.
But that's what happens all the time. You're given gun control or no gun control. Like, who says?
Do you think this is how people lose a grip on their grounding of reality for what we were talking about earlier?
There's the only connection people have with reality. They're given simple choices and told that this is reality. Hamburger or hot dog. That's it.
So you think that somebody's, an up and coming and whatever they're trying to do in life, do you think that telling them, hey, don't just look at A and B, look at C too. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, we want to always distill it down to a simple argument that it's A or B. And usually the choice is A or not A. So you've only really been given one choice. You're giving me A and its alternative. You're not really given choices.
Right.
And people settle for this. Like abortion or not abortion. Maybe there's an in-between answer that makes more sense. It's always you're given just two things. And it polarizes
People should be looking for the situational. People should be looking beyond just one way or the other.
They're not capable for the most part. That's the problem.
So for the listeners that are listening right now, if you are capable of choosing more than one or the other, do it. Always go for the third or the fourth.
I mean, if you listen this far, the point is the world is not binary.
Right.
Like Trump or Biden, really that's the best you can do, Trump or not Trump. Why weren't there other choices? Because nobody believes, it seems, that a third party candidate could win. It's got to be a Democrat or a Republican.
Yeah.
Why have we voted that? It hasn't been like that for most of the U.S. history. But recently we think, oh, that's it. There's only two major parties, and these are the only two choices we can have. And they're going to tell us the choices we can have.
Right.
Okay? If that's how you want to live your life.
I think people are so easy to not realize that they're giving power away when they're choosing an A or B response, right? There's a power shift.
They don't even grasp hold of the power that is theirs.
It's like a parent telling their kid, you can either be a doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
It's like, wait, on my own, I can decide what I want to do.
There's so many more choices. Oh, we only be successful at one of these two things.
Right.
Like, that's impossible.
I feel like a lot of people at a young age get conditioned to the A and B responses, right? So it's kind of you got to break out of that conditioning. You have to be able to tell yourself, there's always more.
If you want to.
If that's what.
Yeah, I mean, again, for a vast number of people, this is all bullshit. They don't really care. It doesn't even turn the gears in their head. Mm-hmm. But if the gears in your head are turning, then you'll understand that there's a lot more. Mm-hmm. That the agenda, like what was the genius of Trump is that when Trump was in power, there was nothing but Trump. It didn't matter good or bad. As long as it was Trump 24 hours a day, it was Trump.
Right.
So you left with Trump or no Trump. Is Trump all bad or all good? It's neither. But Trump is Trump. For the most thing about Trump is the proliferation of Trump. Right. That's his agenda. If you understand that, that's his agenda. You know what you're dealing with. It makes sense. It doesn't matter what he says as long as it's about Trump. And the more outrageous, the better. Because there's enough people going to spin it the other way. It doesn't matter how outrageous something he says. About half the people tell you it's good. And some of the stuff he says is real good. Mm-hmm. But some of it isn't.
Right.
But we're left with this idea that there's only on or off, yes or no, in or out. Trump or no Trump. Or
pizza or sushi. Right. Red or blue, black or white. Right. Living within the scope of a binary life versus a dynamic life.
We can't handle more than two answers at a time.
Right.
And it's really just one, yes or no. Maybe we're just a bunch of little cogs in a computer after all. Yeah. I don't really know.
But I guess what it means to be happy in life is saying yes to yourself the majority of the time. Like you said, you're happy with most of the things you have in your life now. That must mean that you say yes to yourself the majority of the time.
Do I say yes to myself? No, I think I make the right choice most of the time. Mm-hmm. For example, if I want a cookie, if I say yes every minute I want a cookie, I'm probably going to eat too many cookies. Yeah. I also want to say yes to feeling good. I want to say yes to not eating cookies. As much as I love cookies.
Right.
My wife told me something, and I think it was very smart. She said, you choose your heart. Like, poverty is hard, but getting out of poverty is hard too. Working is hard, but having no money is hard too. Like, whatever you think is hard, the other one is hard too. Like, oh, it's so hard to go to work every day. Okay, well, don't go to work and see how hard it is. So, if you look at that, like, I don't know why we thought life is supposed to be easy. Like, this really doesn't say anywhere And I know life's supposed to be easy or perfect.
Yeah.
Or every minute is supposed to be whatever it is you think it should be. Like, it's an experience. It's your chance to make time either in happiness or, God forbid, whatever else, I don't know.
That's interesting how you say that. Both are like the same energy or the same amount of energy.
Right.
Why do you think people don't realize that it's the same energy? Like, they think that one is going to be so much harder.
Maybe they're afraid. I don't really know. I don't know. Why does a person choose to be unhappy? And I'll say, oh yeah, well, if I had what you had, I'd be happy too. Like, really? You don't even know what I have. You don't know what illnesses I have. You don't know what pressures I have. You don't know what I think about in the middle of the night if I wake up in the middle of the night. Like, you don't really know anything about me.
Right.
All you're seeing is the good stuff. So why don't you look around in the mirror and see the good stuff about you?
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, could I focus on something bad? Like, do I have something bad to focus on? I don't think so, but maybe if somebody else looked at me, they'd say, hey, you're divorced, that was bad. Or your kid doesn't talk to you, that's bad. Like, how's it bad? It's good.
Right.
Life's better than ever. Life is good. Everything is enjoyable. Like, when I come to think of it, when my kid used to talk to me, it caused me a lot of stress. And now I don't have that stress. Is that a weird thing to say? I don't know. I'm just telling you how I feel. Like, can you get deep down in yourself and realize some things are just okay?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, it's uncomfortable to not only say yes to yourself, but to decide what's best for you, even though it might be, I wouldn't say unconventional is the right word, but to say things that, go against the grain or the status quo, right? Like starting your own business is, less popular than somebody getting a degree or that dream job, right? It's all a matter of...
Says who?
Yeah, exactly.
It really says who?
Yeah, it's whatever society, So that's interesting. So I feel like people don't take enough time to literally put their foot down on the things that really matter to them.
Well, they don't take the time to look at what really matters to them. Like, to me, what really matters to me, and am I going to spend my energy on that, or am I going to use it some other way? I mean, I could be angry if I don't get something I want, or I could just decide maybe it's for the best that way and be happy. I don't have to deal with it. I don't win that thing on eBay. I'll have to take care of it. Like, it's a trivial example, but whatever it is that you think that you should have that you don't have, either go get it or realize maybe it's better that way. You might realize it's better that way. Maybe you realize you have everything you want. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing to be happy. If you don't like it, don't do it.
Do you think that helps in winning your cases? Is saying to yourself that opportunity is there and that I want it to be there?
In winning my cases.
This philosophy we're talking about.
I mean, winning takes seeing through to only one end.
Right.
Like, you don't win the Super Bowl unless you see yourself like making the goals. If you see your pass going to the receiver or running it over, if you don't see the kickoff happening right, if you don't see it happening, it's not going to happen. If you see multiple possibilities, then guess what? You just created a reality that's unclear. It's okay, but you're the one doing it.
That's interesting. Creating more than one option creates a lack of clarity.
Right.
So you need to not only be able to say, this is my option A and it's the only option, but then to also say, I'm going to visualize that option and I'm going to expect the best of it.
Exactly.
And it's always going to come out the way that it's meant to be.
It's always going to come out in the best possible way. If I put the best energy into it, the best expectation, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen exactly as I say, but I will get the best outcome, which is usually much better than I expect. I mean, you have to try it. You don't have to do anything, but if you try it, if you stick with it, you will see that it is true. It's not something I can give you. It's not something I'm going to try to convince you of. If you're not interested, it's like if people want to pray. Don't pray. God's not going to strike you dead because you didn't pray. Praying is optional. But don't expect to get the benefits if you're not praying, and however it is that's good for you.
Right.
Like, oh, it doesn't work. Okay, well, maybe you don't know how to do it. Maybe it's not good for you. Maybe you didn't put the effort in.
Makes sense. Is there a highlighting case that you worked with that kind of intertwined all these concepts? You know, was there like this really big case that you worked with and you were like, you established all these things throughout that process of winning?
I mean, time after time, I can't reveal anything specific that would violate privacy. But time after time, if first of all it's not truthful, it's not going to win. There has to be truth. Okay. You can't go in and lie. I don't lie. I don't make stuff up. It's there though. I mean, sometimes people miscreate reality, and sometimes it's to my advantage. For example, somebody sloppily says that there was damage somewhere where there wasn't damage. Well, they said there was damage.
Right. Okay.
They said the damage was caused by X. So if there's damage in the living room, how did damage not happen to the ceiling? Like you already said, you already acknowledged damage in the room from this cause. And if it dripped from above, how can you not now acknowledge damage to the ceiling and to the roof? Right. It's just a small example.
Right. Right, because one is still true, and, you know, that's the reality that they created, and that's what you have to follow with sometimes.
People sometimes create reality erroneously. In other words, somebody might say, I saw X and therefore Y. For example, I saw there was a baseball on the floor inside, and I saw the window was broken. So the baseball must have broken the window. But what if the baseball fell off the shelf and something else hit the window? Like, people sometimes, they come to what seem like reasonable conclusions and they stamp that with, this is what happened. And sometimes that's not what happened. And I can prove it. But if you've already established that that's what you saw, and that's what happened, even though it's based on supposition, you already created that reality. The homeowner said X. Yeah, but he was wrong. Oh, really? The homeowner's wrong about his own thing? Okay, why wasn't the screen broken? What do you mean? Nobody noticed that nobody said the screen was broken. Oh, well, the screen must have been broken if the ball got in the room. Okay, but nobody said it was broken. There's no pictures showing the screen is broken.
Right.
All of a sudden, oh, I didn't think about that. Maybe the homeowner's wrong. Or maybe we go with the homeowner anyway. We'll just say, if the homeowner established reality strongly enough, if he was convincing enough, it doesn't matter. Because they'll always come back to, well, maybe somebody replaced the screen afterwards. Maybe the screen wasn't there. Maybe he just forgot to mention it. Right. Do you see how inconclusive reality is? If we leave this room and we later argue about anything in this room, let's suppose somebody comes in and packs up the whole contents of this room and takes it away till we never see it again. We can never really state with certainty what was in this room, where it was. I'll tell you there were, that there were 2 glass orbs on the windowsill. And you're like, nobody has glass orbs on the windowsill. Do you know what's on the windowsill?
Yeah, it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be
Maybe
2.
there's none.
Maybe there's none at all. Maybe you just thought there were orbs.
Okay, do you know what's on my windowsill? Don't turn around.
No, I don't.
So I can really make up anything.
Yeah, you could.
I could probably convince you that there are 2 glass orbs in a glass tray. Right?
Yeah.
Even though they're probably...
It's speculation once the event has ended.
So what do you think, without turning around, what do you think is there? Without turning around, he
Books.
goes, on the windowsill?
Sure.
There's 2 glass orbs on a glass tray. Look.
Oh. Yeah.
But it's not really believable because
who has glass orbs on their windowsill? Right. Ed Witty does, though.
Okay, but you'll tell me I've never been in a house with glass orbs on the windowsill. Oh, really? No, what I'm saying is, people think if they don't notice something, then maybe it's not real. Mm-hmm. But we don't notice a lot of things.
That is true. A lot goes unobserved. And the people who are observing the most will be able to create the reality if they so wish to.
And they're not the people that are staring at their phones all the time.
Right.
So if you're staring at your phone all the time, you're one of the people that's probably not paying attention, and stuff's happening around you that you're not even aware of. And you think you got it all, but you don't.
Yeah.
Not like me gets it all. Not all, but a lot more.
Ed Witty never looks at his phone. He's looking for the moments of arbitrage to happen.
I look at my phone sometimes.
Opportunities of arbitrage.
So do you want to know anything else?
No, I think we covered a lot. If there's anything that you wish the audience to know about always expecting the best or any ending ideas, they probably really appreciate it.
I've given you 3 different things you do. Number 1 is stop talking. Don't talk any negative about yourself. Mm-hmm. Number 2 was the idea of owning your space as walking and what was number 3? Always expect the best.
Never guess if there's orbs behind you on the window.
Always expect the best. Pay attention, but always expect the best. Take notice that you get what you expect almost all the time. And I don't mean, give me $1 million. What you really deep down expect. You know you're going to get fucked. You know somebody's going to let you down. You know it's not going to start on time. Now you hope it starts on time. Yeah, but I know it's not. Think about what you really know, what you really feel, what you really think is going to happen. And see how few times you're disappointed. You will be shocked. Especially when you start expecting the best. Honestly, legitimately, if you can bring yourself to expect the best, like sit down in a restaurant and expect great service. See what happens. I'll bet you now you can do some things to put it to push it in your direction. You can tell the waiter you expect great service. You'd be amazed how much that alone will do. I heard you're a great waiter, and I'm expecting a really great service from you today for this meal.
That's a good one.
I mean, there's a lot you can do.
There's a lot. It opens a whole new playing board in that case.
But just think about it. Is this cheating? I don't think so. Because when people expect the worst, they say it out loud too.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. They make it a point.
Like the waiter shows up. Hey, you're already late and I'm hungry and this place doesn't have the best service. But can you give me my meal? Well, you're not, whatever, So, it's like not cheating. It is not cheating to do it on the positive side. You already do it on the negative side all the time. I mean, just listen, start monitoring what you're actually saying.
And with that, guys, always expect the best. Thanks, Ed Witty, for being on with us today. We really appreciate your time.
Pleasure's mine.
If you guys want to reach out to Ed, he's I'll drop some links down below in the podcast information section. I think Ed, you're open if people want to reach out and have questions for you, or
if they want to. It's okay.
Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap that up. Until next time, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.